Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and this is how to use Oricorio. So we're going to be here a little longer in the beginning of the video because Oricorio has 4 different forms, and each of them has a different typing, and it's pretty much flying and then stuff. So let's go and check out how this stuff breaks down with fire and flying first. So yeah, we have some pretty big weaknesses to worry about. We have a 4 times weakness to rock, 2 times weakness to water, 2 times resistance to electric, and then we go and pick up a lot of resistances. So if we stay away from rock, we can be okay, but if rock hits us, then we're just absolutely dead. The electric flying one is really interesting because it's only a 2 times super effective weakness to rock, 2 times super effective weakness to ice, and then we still get 5 resistances at the same time. So that one's going to be one of the better ones defensively based off of typing. But then we have the psychic one. So psychic flying is going to be rock, ghost, electric, ice, and dark. A lot of weaknesses right there, and you will only get 3 resistances, and it will be the same for the ghost as well. Ghost and flying, rock, ground, electric, ice, and dark for the weaknesses, and then we will resist poison, bug, and grass. However, we gain 3 immunities with that ghost typing added onto our flying type, and normal, flying, and ground will be completely immune. So that's going to be something interesting. And also, since all of these Pokemon have the flying typing, it's going to be a ground immunity across the board. Looking at the offensive breakdown, that is a lot to talk about, and I don't want to make you guys get bored and stuff. So if you're really interested in figuring out the breakdowns of flying plus another typing offensively against other Pokemon, then you just can pause the video and study this for yourself. Then we can go and check out these stats for Oricorio, and it's upsetting, mostly because of the buildup. Before Pokemon Sun and Moon came out, Oricorio was one of the very early Pokemon that was revealed, and we knew about its Dancer ability. We knew about its new forms and typings. We were like, wait a second, if this Pokemon has the Dancer ability, which we're going to talk about in a second, and gets decent stats, just decent stats is all we need, this thing could be an amazing threat, but it's a single stage bird that just kind of scattered about at all stages of the game, and its stats kind of reflect that, with no stat being higher than 100 and the speed still being pretty low at the same time. So we can't really make do with much of that, but let's go hop on over to Pokemon Showdown and talk about where the potential lies in Oricorio, because it's 100% in that Dancer ability. When another Pokemon uses a dance move, that's vague, it can use a dance move following it regardless of speed. So pretty much if I go and use a dance move, let's say Swords Dance, well, immediately after, even if it's the opponent, even if it's an ally, whatever happens, Oricorio will copy that move right after. And we can also go and check out the list of moves right here. So this is it. Now, when you think about it, there were a lot of different directions Oricorio could have gone. Revelation Dance, is that a special attack or a physical attack? Which one's going to be better for? Because Quiver Dance is going to really go and boost for that special attack, give you speed, special defense, special attack. That's amazing right there. However, there's more commonly used moves like Swords Dance and Dragon Dance that boost physical, and from the stats of Oricorio, unfortunately there's no mix. Like, what would have been really cool if Oricorio, okay, 70 hit points, 70 defense, 70 special defense, then maybe 105 speed, 95 attack, 95 special attack, maybe something usable on those lines, because it could just pick up a Swords Dance and still have a 105 speed for free or something like that. But with this, you need a Dragon Dance, you need a Quiver Dance, you need to get speed first, and then you have to hope your damage can follow it up. So that's going to be a pretty big issue right there. And then Fiery Dance. Like, if you survive a Fiery Dance and then you use it, you deal damage, and then you also gain special attacks. So there's some really cool things that could happen. Petal Dance, you just get to go and pick up some free damage on a Petal Dance. Teeter Dance can confuse everyone else. Feather Dance, yeah, if they try to lower your attack, or you can actually double down on it. That if you have, Prankster Feather Dance, well, that could work out to lower attack. You lower attack again, and you can kind of combo like that. But unfortunately, there weren't really any new dance moves added in the 7th generation. It was Revelation Dance. So only in Oricorio versus Oricorio matchups this means anything. And yeah, it doesn't really synergize with the stats that Oricorio gets access to. And also, nothing. This Pokemon learns nothing for special attacks. That we get Air Slash, we get Hurricane, we get Revelation Dance. So our coverage is going to be our typing, that we get flying plus our different typing move, and that's it. That's all the coverage that we really have, plus like hidden power, but everything else, it's going to be weak physical. So even if we became a physical attacker, we have U-turn, so we take away our stats by bouncing out of there, and then we get acrobatics, so we need to kind of line up some item synergy, or we get aerial ace. There's nothing else. Return. You get a normal flying coverage Pokemon, and that's it. We can even see it in the usable Z moves. If it wasn't for the U-turn, we wouldn't even have Savage Spin Out and then Corkscrew Crash. That's from Steel Wing, which isn't even that same. I guess Steel Wing can work for the physical set, because if you're just teching it in there and you see a Fairy-type Pokemon, yeah, you hit them for super effective damage. Good for you. But that's unfortunate that, like, everything else was there. Like, the Dancer ability could have, like, made this Pokemon absolutely insane and usable, but the stats and moveset kind of let it fall behind. However, we can still use that Dancer ability, so I wanted to kind of show some other things. Mirror Move, that's usable. Roost, Tailwind, Air Slash. These things are options. Unfortunately, with that 98 special attack, you don't have the luxury of running that Air Slash safely. That's going to be on the Hurricane, but Hurricane has that low accuracy at 70%, so you can miss the Hurricane, and then bad things will happen. But this is going to be a standard Oricorio set right here. That Hidden Power Ice, so pretty much what you want to do is you want to line up your Hidden Power depending on the Oricorio that you're running. Now, a recent thing that I just discovered is the Pokemon Attack type coverage updated for the 7th generation, and a cool thing is we can go and check out some things. So Ghost and Fighting, this is always a really good traditional one, because if you have Ghost and Fighting coverage, you hit everything for at least normal effective damage, so that's something that we can carry over into the Oricorio. That if you just want reliable damage, also you're a Flying type Pokemon, so you're being resisted by Steel type Pokemon and Rock type Pokemon, which means Hidden Power Fighting is something that you want. Your Revelation Dance is going to be a Ghost attack, and then you can run Hurricane or Air Slash however you're feeling that day. And then we can kind of synergize this with some other things, you know, Hidden Power Ice, that's going to be able to hit those Dragon-type Pokemon that are going to be resisting our Revelation Dance. So we can find the coverage as we need to, and it's pretty much just plug and play at that point. So let's just say we have Electric and Flying coverage, then that means we can kind of shift around to try to figure out what we'd want for our Hidden Power. You know, Hidden Power Water kind of adds a good amount to this, Hidden Power Ice. It just makes Magnezone and Rotom and Togedemaru a threat if you're worried about those Pokemon at all. It's actually really interesting because then we're flying electric, so we eat electric types neutrally. So yeah, maybe having that ice, but yeah, that's when you can kind of go and figure out you can't have Fairy Hidden Power. So Ground, wow, Hidden Power Ground actually would come through, bring you a lot of super effective hits. Electric, Flying, Ground, you have 601 on those super effective hits. You'd be hitting pretty hard. So if you're running the electric style, considering something like this, and that's kind of the breakdown. Now the tech options are Calm Mind, so you can boost for Calm Mind. If you receive some kind of Dancer buff, then yeah, that means you're gaining +2 to your special attack, whatever to your speed, or whatever, like say Quiver Dance. Quiver Dance is going to be +2 special attack, +1 speed in one turn, and also +2 on the special defense, so you're going to be even harder to KO with the special attack. You might survive, you might be able to get something out of it. So pretty much what we need to do is we need to get speed into Oricorio, and then we're fine. However, in single battles, that's not really going to happen, unfortunately, so that's why we need to max out our speed. Hopefully we can outspeed like 90 base speed Pokemon or something like that. If you just want to kind of take that risk, you know, maybe they'll throw out a Dragon Dance, maybe they'll go and throw out a Quiver Dance, then you can run the Modest Nature, and that's actually when you can start cutting off like investment into your speed. And it's also about how technical you want to get on these speed EVs as well, that if you're already planning, like you know 100% you're going to get a +1 speed boost some way, somehow, then you can actually run this, because this will let you outspeed 135 base speed Pokemon, which are going to be primary threats to most Pokemon as well, and then that just frees up some EV investment into the hit points, so you get a little tankier. That means you can use your special defense a bit more, or something like that, and then you get the most damage out of your Modest Nature for big amounts of damage. It's going to be a lot harder in singles, which is why we have to turn our attention to double battles, and if you don't want to run the Calm Mind, that's when we can run any of these things right here. That the Tailwind will give you that effective speed. If you're running Tailwind, you can cut even more EVs off of your speed and then try to put that into tankiness, so you survive the hit to set up the Tailwind to then start doing damage. Tailwind plus Calm Mind also works, but then that means you're giving up coverage, and Mirror Move is an option, so you could technically go like 4 offensive moves with the Mirror Move. That way, if you copy a Swords Dance, well, you know they're going to be a physical attacker. So say it's a Garchomp. You switch in on a Swords Dance Garchomp, you know it's going to be able to do damage. Well, Garchomp's already faster than you, so it outspeeds you, nukes you, unless you have a Focus Sash, you die. But if you don't, then you can Mirror Move that +2 Earthquake or whatever back in its face. However, that's where we get into issues with a Modest Nature. So there's so many awkward things that don't synergize with the Oricorio, because then that means you have to run something else. I don't even know what we want to run in this situation. Like Rash minus special defense, that means if we get the Quiver Dance boost, then we're losing that. If we cut any more from our defense, well then what's the point of investing the hit points, because any physical attack kills us already. So there's going to be an issue at some point when you're running the Oricorio. But let's go into double battles, because this is where the Pokemon will excel, because we saw on Fan Fridays that you go Oricorio with Ribombee, and then things get amazing, because Ribombee is going to be the fastest Quiver Dance Pokemon that isn't an Ultra Beast. I got that wrong in my guide. You can run the Ribombee, you can run the Pheromosa, and then pretty much you just want like Focus Sash on this Pokemon, because what they do is they outspeed they get that Quiver Dance going, and then you're going to be able to copy it on your Oricorio, so you can protect that turn, you can go for Calm Mind. That's what we saw. Like, if they have a lot of special attackers, it's very safe for Oricorio to just go Calm Mind on top of that. So you're getting +2 special attack, +2 special defense, you're gaining that speed to use for the next turn, and then you also have another Quiver Dancing threat next to you. The Pheromosa actually gets Ice Beam for coverage, so you have Ice Beam, you have Bug Buzz, you actually have some things to use with the Pheromosa. It's probably expected to get super nuked. The problem with Pheromosa in doubles is that people probably want to focus fire it, so if it only eats one attack on that first turn, Focus Sash activates, now you have a Pheromosa that's super fast, threatening a lot of damage, next to an Oricorio that's super fast, threatening a lot of damage. So that could be pretty good right there for the Oricorio. Also, Rabombi, it gets Pollen Puff, so it could be defensive, healing half of your allies' hit points, so healing half the Oricorio, or doing a stab damaging bug type move. And then you also have Moonblast, so dragon killing right here, while still being insanely fast. Now, the weird thing about this is that you do have to put the Timid Nature on the Rabombi. That way you secure that first turn outspeed. You secure getting those stats in the Oricorio. You can run Modest because the next turn it doesn't matter, but it does put your Oricorio at risk. Because if there's a Pokemon that's going to be faster than the Rabombi and it's attacking special attack, then your Oricorio might not get the defenses to survive it. It's pretty niche, so it's depending on how safe you want to play. But now Rabombi has more damage to deal with Pollen Puff, Moonblast, or something like that. They can even run Baton Pass. It Quiver Dances once, Baton Passes into another Pokemon. That Pokemon now has boosting from Quiver Dance, Oricorio has boosting from Quiver Dance, and then you could try to snowball some extra damage and get some success that way. But that's kind of it. Like, looking at other synergies, Dragon Dance isn't going to work unless, like, you Dragon Dance and your opponent Dragon Dances. Then Oricorio ends up like a +2 on the attack, but remember, it only has like a 70 attack, so it doesn't get to do much right there. It just sucks that these stats were pretty low, but this is still very successful. Oricorio has all kinds of different things that it can run. With the Fire Style, you're going to be able to hit Celesteela for insane amounts of damage on your Revelation Dance, because Revelation Dance is still pretty good. It's going to be a 90 base power special move that gains stab off of your typing because the type varies based on the user's primary type. So you're going to be able to have a very powerful Ghost hit, Psychic hit, Fire hit, or Electric hit. Problem is, Rock Slide is very common in doubles, so this is a very, very scared and threatened Oricorio right here. The Ghost type one has reliable coverage, and then the Electric type one still hits a lot, but if there's like a Marowak running around or something that has Lightning Rod, or they can just use a ground type Pokemon, then that's when you lose your primary form of stab. So, a lot of give and take right there. And now it's time to check out some damage calculations real quick on the Oricorio. So I was thinking, what happens if you have uninvested Oricorio on that +1? Well, you're still threatened by Tapu Lele. That if it doesn't have a Life Orb, say if it's no item, yeah, you actually get to survive that. So say you pick up a stat, you have Calm Mind or something, you know, even in double battles, say it's like you get that Rabombi, you get Rabombi to outspeed, it goes and sets up the Quiver Dance, that means Tapu Lele wants to target your Oricorio. Well, it's not going to be able to do enough damage without that Life Orb. If it does have Life Orb, then that's where like the weirdness of our health investment comes in. 252 on the hit points will be enough to survive, but that means we're cutting out speed, and we can't be doing that because we need that +1 to get as fast as possible. But if we were taking our 60 number, it's a high chance to, well, it's about even chance to KO, slightly weighted in its favor. So if you're going to be doing some other kind of like switching around on these stats and stuff, that means the EVs can go elsewhere. 156 is where you start surviving. So yeah, you have to put a substantial amount of investment for that +1. But this is kind of like worst case neutral scenario. We have Life Orb, Modest, on Psychic Terrain, Tapu Lele. I just wanted to use that as a comparison because interestingly enough, when we go +1 on our uninvested special defense, it gives us an effective 115 for that stat. So special attack, ignore this, I just changed the number. So yeah, it goes from 90 to 135. So it's like having a 115 special attack on that first turn when we're doing like the Rabombi and all kinds of like crazy stat boosting. So it's like having the 70 115. So we become a Tapu Lele that doesn't have hit point investment, tankiness for special attacks, which means we can survive most of them, but some of them will still destroy us pretty well. And then I was just looking at damage numbers and stuff. It's still not good. At Timid Nature, +1, we can run Life Orb if we want to get the most damage, but Life Orb is just going to make us a little more frail. If we get Life Orb, then our damage starts looking a lot better. But I honestly don't really know what to run on the Oricorio, because if we're doing double battles, Rabombi wants our Focus Sash, so I guess we can Life Orb on the Oricorio and then try to get a little bit of extra damage like that. So that's where our Revelation Dance starts looking really good. But remember, this is a super effective stab hit. So if this wasn't a super effective Revelation Dance and we're throwing out a Hurricane, remember, Hurricane has that chance to miss at +1 with the 252 investment, even with a Life Orb against Pokemon like Tapu Lele, it's not enough to KO. Now, against other Oricorio and other frail Pokemon, yeah, we can find neutral hits on our Revelation Dance to be enough damage, but that's still not super awesome. And also the Hurricane's doing less damage because I did bring out the electric Oricorio style. Other Pokemon like Garchomp, because I mentioned it earlier, Hurricane starts getting close, but it has to be Life Orb, has to be +1, has to be Hurricane Landing. So it shows that even until we get like +2 on our boosting, until we get +2 on our damage, it's not going to be enough to just straight up one-hit KO, and we're still really frail Pokemon. So pretty much, we hit them, they don't die, they hit us, we die, and that's kind of the end of the story right there. Dragon Claw from Garchomp does good amounts of damage, just as Lumberry. Life Orb is going to be a lot more, but it won't threaten to KO us. Remember, we are using turns of setup. There's potential like Calm Mind turns. There's potential other things to try to get those stats into us. So it's not going to be absolutely ideal for the Oricorio. Other scenarios is if they bring in a Pokemon like Gyarados, and then we go for straight out damage. So let's say we know Gyarados is going to go for that, or for the Dragon Dance, but we gain the speed boost off of it. So at least Gyarados won't be able to outspeed us because we're going to be keeping up with our own speed boosting as well. And then we just have to be doing like +0 damage. Maybe it goes for Dragon Dance, we go for Calm Mind, and then we have to try to do more damage before that +1 attack starts shredding through us. Actually, let's go and see if there's anything that can be salvaged right here, because yeah, once you hit that +1 on the Gyarados, Waterfall KOs us. Like, we have the Ghost style, so I'm ignoring the crunch. But yeah, Stab Waterfall will pretty much wreck us after we get that +1, and even at +1 special attack. Hurricane is our best bet, but again, low odds. It would have to like get confused, hit itself in confusion. However, if we come out from this on top, say Stealth Rocks is in play. So I wonder, that means Stealth Rocks over here. Hurricane guaranteed one-hit KO after Stealth Rocks. So they Dragon Dance, we Calm Mind, we outspeed, we land the Hurricane, Stealth Rocks is active, we KO them. Well, now we have a free +1 speed, and then we have our +1 from the Calm Mind. So we can maybe find some damage like that. Gyarados is a fairly bulky Pokemon though, and if it has any amount of hit point investment, it just gets worse from there. So yeah, oh, guaranteed KO after Stealth Rocks. Never mind. You need the Stealth Rocks for these weird matchups. So it shows the Dragon Dance Pokemon, the Pokemon that we're going up against. We get like one turn to try to do our most to them. And if we come out on top, cool, free stats. If not, now they're the one with the free stats. And remember, they're much stronger than us because they have better base stats. So weird things to consider with the Oricorio. If you guys enjoyed the video, that's how you use Oricorio. I hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.